All right, so here's the next lecture, Chapter 3, which is our role in society. What we're looking at here for this chapter is looking at key demographics and how the demographics of our society affect sport, physical education, recreation, and how we can change our teaching strategies and our kind of focusing the direction of the research based on the demographic information we have. So, the first thing we want to look at is improving your cultural diversity, or in another term we'll call it as cultural competency. And basically, with that, what we're really aiming to do is have you understand different cultures. So, if there are a wide range of cultures and values from the vast different ethnic groups that we have in our country, we would need to be understanding of that because different religions or different cultures have certain values that they hold near and dear, and so our physical or nutritional and all of those other things that we try to educate people on can conflict with some of those, and so we need to be understanding and we need to be uh, tolerant of all the different cultures. And so when we talk about cultural competency, which would be something that's on the test, uh, we're talking about understanding and having a competent level of dealing with different cultures. It's very important. As you know, our society is definitely a melting pot, if you will, of many cultures, and we just need to understand how to interact with different ones. Um, we look at, again, trying to approach our education from a total standpoint of developing the entire person. Um, and we call this the wellness approach. And wellness is simply a way of categorizing a multi-tiered approach to changing someone's behavior, health-wise. So we have a model where we look at the physical, the emotional, social, mental, spiritual, and environmental elements that are around the person. And each one of these factors plays a role. If I, as a strength coach or a personal trainer, go and I try to just tackle my client's needs by diet and exercise, that's okay. That's getting them in the right direction. But if the reason they fell off their program in the first place was because of some emotional stress that's going on, or maybe a mental issue that's going on right now, I'm not really solving the problem. I might help some symptoms and I might help provide a little bit of stress relief with the exercise, and I'm certainly making them more physically healthy, but I'm not making them entirely well, as in our wellness model that we're looking for. So we want to come up with programs, whether they be PE programs in the school, personal training program design, strength training. If you're a coach, definitely with your athletes, you want to look at things in a lot of different ways and consider different factors. For example, if you're a football coach, your running back may not be performing up to par for the day, and you can just tell him, run rep after rep after rep after rep, and he might understand where he needs to go with the ball and what he needs to do, but he's having a hard time doing it. And maybe it's because, grandma died that day, or the day before, and, that's weighing heavy on his mind. And so a coach needs to be, aware of how to deal with that, how to, you know, let the player grieve and understand and be empathetic to the player, but still demand and get a good performance out of the player. You know, obviously, if you need time off for funerals and deaths, that might be the case. It might be take a few days off, come back when you're mentally checked in. Because trying to push them through when they're not all there mentally is not going to get you the best results. Just like in my personal training example, I can push them hard through a tough workout and make sure that they're eating well. But if there are other things in their life that are bogging them down and killing their motivation, and it could be something as simple as their environment, or like I said, some other emotional stresses going on, they're not going to stick with their program, and I'm going to be fighting an uphill battle. So with that, we look over the last last 110 years, our life expectancy has gone up almost 30 years, from about 47 years of age to 77 years of age. Women slightly higher, like 80, 81, 82, men around 74. So average about 77 years, which is good for a number of reasons. That means we have made some strides, definitely some advancements in medicine, and that's where we see the biggest link in terms of having our population live to a higher age. But the thing that we as physical educators need to take from this is, by the time it's 2020, so just in a few years, we're going to have a significant amount of our population, roughly 20%, I think the book says, that are over 65. And at the same time, we're going to have about 25% of our population under 18. So almost half of our population will be on one extreme or the other. And that means that with the rise of obesity in our children, as you probably have already heard of, that means that we have a lot of work to do educating the youth, but we also have a tremendous population that's going to be needing special services. Our bodies do wear down, they do deteriorate. And we'll talk later in other lectures about, slowing that process down through physical education, which is one reason why we want to educate them in the first place. But the point is, we'll have that clientele, so to speak, built in. So there's a need for physical education. There's a need for us to aim our programs towards senior citizens and their special needs, and also the younger crowd that really already has a uphill battle, so to speak, with the the way our world is right now. And so coming up with our programs for physical education, sports, personal training, all of those disciplines that we talk about, the research and programming needs to take that into consideration, the different age populations. The big killers here, the big problems are the chronic diseases, and our chronic diseases are the diseases that come over time. They're not one day you wake up and have a really bad disease. It's something that, due to lifestyle, hereditary factors, over time sets in and causes problems. Cancers, definitely one of the biggest ones. Cardiovascular problems, heart and lung issues. These are the top chronic diseases that we see. Cardiovascular disease really has been linked to inactivity, obesity, tobacco use, poor nutrition. All of these things are lifestyle changes that we can change. That doesn't guarantee that we'll never have cardiovascular disease ever again if we get everyone eating well, not smoking or chewing tobacco and all those other good things. But it just means that there are a lot of things that we can control to either make symptoms better and or flat out prevent it from happening in some individuals. 1/3 of cancers are being linked to behavioral modification factors like inactivity, being overweight, obese, and other lifestyle factors. So we know that 1/3 of these types of cancers are more or less preventable through lifestyle modification. There again, that goes right back to us as physical educators to make sure that we have the proper education out there hitting people young, but also the people that are currently smoking, to get them to stop, to get them to be active, to get people eating well, and just understanding the importance, and not just everyone knows that eating well and exercising is good for you. What they don't always know is the bad ramifications of not doing that, and how that can affect the rest of your quality of life. There's commercials on TV right now, that an anti-smoking campaign that's showing people that have had some pretty serious physical ailments just caused straight from smoking. One of them was the dad who says, I never thought smoking would keep me from playing basketball with my sons. And so that's a huge part of your life that you're not going to get back. And again, that kills motivation, that kills your health, obviously. But that's a serious thing that we might be able to help phase out over time. Okay. So there's a lot. If you look through the slides, there's a lot of slides that talk about different demographic groups, and men, women, white, Hispanic, African American, the different ethnic groups, and how the health is different for each one. I'm not going to go through those on this lecture here. There's a chart in your slides that are on the McGraw-Hill website that you can look at and get an idea of what we're talking about there. The last thing I want to touch on here is obesity and the prevalence of that, and again, that is something that we know we can do a lot to help. In 2005, 67% of adults were overweight or obese. 34% were considered obese, and another 6% were extremely obese. So you're talking 67% of adults were overweight, which was characterized by a BMI of 28 or higher. Factor that into, in just 30 years ago in the 70s, it was around 47%. So it's gone up quite a bit. The percentages of kids that are obese, not just overweight, but already in that obese category, ages 12 to 19, I'm reading right off the slides, 18%, 19% from 6 to 11, and here's the alarming one, ages 2 to 5, we have 10%. 10% of our children that are 2 to 5 are obese, not overweight, obese. That is alarming. That means that we as physical educators have a direct target group that we need to go after and help, not chastise them for what they've been doing, and not come down hard on the parents and say you've done a bad job, shame on you, but help educate. We need to say, hey, look, we understand that there's certain factors in life that lead to this, and unfortunately make that a priority for, or have not made it a priority for in your life. But we can help, and we can change that, and here's how. And it starts in the schools. It starts by sending information home to the parents, because they're the ones that do the grocery shopping. They're the ones that are preparing the meals. So you can tell a 5th grader all day long that you need to eat better, but they're not the ones controlling the food on the table. So we've got to again, let whole wellness approach, look at everything. That would be an environmental factor for that child. Just as with the 67% of adults that are overweight, we need to help educate them and spend more resources in getting that out there, and not just eat this diet or eat that diet or go run a mile. But the idea is we really want to find ways that we can effectively teach this information without sounding condescending, without making it to the point where they feel bad for where they are. Be accepting. Be that shoulder to lean on. And that, as physical educators, is what it's all about. All right. There's a little bit more on. I'll put a part 2 of this video up.